Hello, everyone. I'm testing the microphone. Okay, it's 10:30. That's our official start time. So I'm Susan Ridgway. I'm working with the In-kind Program at Rubin, and I'm here to start this session on the In-kind Program. Okay, so let me get this going. First, I'll start with a reminder about the Rubin Code of Conduct information. Basically, harassment and unprofessional conduct is not permitted. And if you have any experience of these things, please reach out to one of the Code of Conduct contacts that is given here. Also, there are various name tags that you can check for contact comfort level stickers in case people have those. And indeed, there's also a social battery pin. And please give those people, if they're not feeling up to it, a bit of space. This is also a reminder about the virtual participants. Virtual participants should be muted when they're not speaking. And generally, things have been going pretty well, I guess I've seen, but you can also use Zoom to ask questions. Okay, so for the agenda for this particular session, first we're going to have an overview of the resources for the community, and that should take about a half hour, and that will start being presented by Phil Marshall. And then we'll have some in-kind program talks, first from the Korean in-kind program, Argentina, and Japan. And then we'll have a little bit more discussion at the end about recipient resources and some discussion of the data rights agreements. And then we'll have a question and answer session. Okay, so I think we're going to start up with the resources for the community, and the first speaker will be Phil Marshall.
Thanks, Susan. All right, very nice to see you all. Nice mix of people from the international in-kind programs and also from the science community as well, which is important because this whole program is really designed to bring new resources to the LSST science community and the Rubin Observatory. So very grateful for the contributions that have already been made by the in-kind programs, and looking forward to seeing more from them as we get into the survey and beyond. Okay, so here's a map. Some of you have seen this before, but just showing you how the in-kind program has helped build and grow this international collaboration that's going to be working on LSST together. There are now 43 individual international in-kind programs around the world. Some of them institutional, some of them consortia. They come from 28 countries, and here the map includes US and Chile to give you the feel for the whole of the LSST community. Those programs are providing 153 separate in-kind contributions. We'll say a little bit more in this session about how that number may grow a little bit further still through the resource needs program. So this whole in-kind program is managed by the IPC team that is here today, and they're part of the Rubin Operations Director's Office department. All right, so this in-kind program is helping us deliver on this original vision that we had within Rubin of building a strong, vibrant, and diverse international community for Rubin and the LSST. All right, so in-kind contributions come in a number of different flavors. Here's a nice chart summarizing them to go from sort of clockwise direction. We have some big in-kind contributions coming into Rubin Observatory to the operations team, most notably the help with the data release processing from both the France data facility and the UK data facility. Those two programs are also providing some staff to the Rubin Operations team directly, engineers and scientists doing that. Connected to those data facilities, there's a growing or under development network of IDACs, independent data access centers, and affiliated computing centers. 13 of these computing centers to provide additional computing resources to the science community. Those IDACs and also the US DAC in the Google Cloud managed by Slack, they will collectively host a number of data sets, some of them provided as in-kind contributions. And so we have data sets from the X-ray, the UV, optical, IR, and radio parts of the spectrum, curated by the in-kind program teams, and generally adding value to the LSST catalogs. We have a number of contributions providing software development effort, both to Rubin and the science collaborations, the LSST Science Collaborations. As you can see, 270 FTE years in committed effort. Most of it is directable, which is allows the science collaborations and Rubin to get the software that they really need developed to their specifications. That analysis infrastructure, some of that analysis will depend on external data as well as Rubin data, and that data can come in not just as data sets, but also as open telescope time. So we have 8 countries providing telescope time from a range of telescopes, from 1 meter class all the way up to 10 meter class, providing additional capabilities to the LSST science community to use. Back at the observatory, meanwhile, the focus is on commissioning. So we have 16 from 6 international teams. We have effort contributed, both staff going down to Chile to help the team on the summit, and also remotely helping out with the commissioning data analysis. That's part of a bigger program that that the project is running that includes in-kind contributions from the US and Chilean teams as well. And then last but not least, you can see here a short list of some of the ways the in-kind program has already enhanced the Rubin facility. For example, providing the all-sky camera that you may have seen this morning in the virtual tour of the summit. That's the DREAM contribution from the Netherlands. There's also been long-standing contributions to the LSST camera construction from France, and a number of other contributions to the Rubin project as well. So pretty varied program, a lot of resources coming in from outside of Rubin. Here's another view of this, same categories in the pie chart on the left to give you a feel for where the value is being added. You can see the biggest chunk is coming into the observatory, to the operations team, and has been coming into the construction project. But you can see a nice mix of the other kinds of contribution as well, from software development, computing resources, time, and so on. So we have other members of the IPC team here to tell you a bit more about these different types of contribution, give you a better feel for what is coming in through the in-kind program. Okay, so where to find out more about the Rubin in-kind program? We do have some space on the Rubin website under the For Scientists menu, right down there at the bottom. You can see the in-kind program, and that splits out into a little menu where you can find out some more details about some specific things that people are typically interested in finding out. So from this, there are links to documents, forms, information about how the program is managed, in particular the evaluation of how well the contributions are working. We do this on an annual basis. There are FAQs there as well. And if in doubt, you can send email with questions to Jarvis at the in-kind help desk, is how I remember this, JIKH@lsst.org. I guess everyone's butler is called Jarvis. Okay, so here are the team. You'll see some of them up here and on Zoom giving short talks about the details of the contributions. Just to run through them, we have Agnes Verte here from Slack sitting in the front. Steve Markheim, I think, is out there on Zoom today. You'll see him in a second. I'm here at Slack. Knut Olsen is here at the front. Steve Ridgway, I think, is on Zoom. Susan Ridgway, no relation, you saw her chairing the session, and Aprajita Verma is on Zoom, I think, with us as well. So Aprajita leads the IPC team. The rest of us work on supporting the various in-kind contributions, and also the data rights agreements that are associated with this program. We also have a couple of other people to watch out for. Greg Medeski acts as the liaison to the community science team, sitting at the back. And Sierra Villarreal is our technical coordinator for the IDACs. Sierra's in the middle here. Good. Also, someone that you rarely see, but you might get to meet this week is Heather Shaughnessy, who works on managing the database of data rights holders. Okay, so with the introductions done, I'm going to hand it over to Steve Markheim. Are you out there to tell folks here about the telescope time contributions?
Yes, I am. Hopefully you're hearing me.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. I'll let you know when to advance the slide. So I'm the in-kind coordinator that's largely responsible for telescope time contributions. So these are contributions that are from various facilities for time that'll be made available to the U.S. community. Next slide. So these are some of the facilities that'll be available through the in-kind contributions. And so these include something like about 14 nights per year on 8 to 10 meter class telescopes, on the order of hundreds of nights per year on like 1.5 to 4 meter class telescopes, and potentially thousands of hours on smaller facilities. We're currently trying to align these time availability on these facilities to match with the Rubin survey itself to maximize follow-up from Rubin. So we've got that mostly agreed upon for most of the facilities. Next slide. So how will this time be allocated? It's going to be via the NORLAB allocation process. This is a dual anonymous two-stage review, like every other NORLAB facility, Gemini, the mid-scale observatory, SOAR, et cetera. There will be a few facilities that have unique offerings that'll have alternative routes. Probably the biggest example of this will be time on the GTC, which will be a time allocation via the Spanish TAC. This is going to be open access, not limited to Rubin Science. So this will just be open up to any proposals with Rubin's Open Sky, or with the NORLAB Open Sky open access policies. But we expect that Rubin Science will be a big chunk of what gets used for this. What's exciting is that the first opportunities are going to be announced as part of the 2025A call for proposals. So this is coming up in just a few months. There's a few opportunities then, especially time on a small imaging telescope in Serbia and time for spectroscopic classification of supernova on the Nordic telescope here in Chile. Most of the facilities, though, won't come online until 2025B, 2026A NORLAB semesters, again, to try and align with the start of the survey. Next slide. We want to make it as easy as possible for the community to use these facilities without having to learn lots and lots of things, and be able to use it for Rubin follow-up. So we're trying to encourage participation in AON. AON is this astronomical event network that really says how that you can use computer systems to submit observations, get your data, and things like that. And so there's a wide range of what being AON compliant means, but it does make it easier to use these network of facilities, especially for translate. So we're hoping that we are also providing rapid access to data, that the facilities are processing this data to make it easier for you to analyze, and that the proper documentation is necessary. And again, if they're doing AON compliance, there's some of these are enforced. Next slide. Again, we're trying to make sure that because we feel like TOO, target of observation follow-up, is an important aspect of what these facilities, these smaller facilities follow-up will be used for Rubin, that we're trying to make sure that most of these facilities will offer TOO access so that there'll be some very rapid follow-up capability. You see something, you can trigger it, it'll be observed very quickly. Some of these will be very just completely open access. We can submit at any time to some via dedicated nights that you'll have like a week of time that we'll have access to these things. Again, we're pushing AON integration because we think this is the crucial to being the long-term success of these programs and Rubin follow-up. Next slide. We are, of course, interested in seeing if there are additional telescope resources that other additional contributions would like to be made. This is something that can go on through the LSST survey. We're really looking for time on larger facilities, but we're interested in dialogue with any facility. We are really excited if you can provide something that connects through Aeon and really connects through sort of NORLab's future of these sort of automated user-driven follow-ups. Next slide. Since I'm also the primary coordinator for datasets, I thought I would just give those couple slides before pausing for questions. So next slide. These datasets are sort of similar, but these are complemented, data products that come from surveys that are either in the past or will be going online. So they're not specifically acquired through like the program or through alerts, but through maybe an older survey that has not been, the data is not available to the larger community, or through future surveys that are happening, like UVSat and things like that. So these are available, these data products will be available to everybody with Rubin Data Lite. So that includes the US community, Chile community, and anybody with a data rights agreement, PI. How we're setting this up is going to really dependent on the data set to data set. Some will be hosted at Rubin Data Access Centers, so like IDACs and things like that. Some will be hosted by the facility that's doing this on a dedicated basis. They basically have to be able to authenticate to the Rubin system to verify that somebody who has data rights can access this data. So we're going to be working over the next year to really make sure that as these data sets start becoming online, that we both make them easy to use to the community, and that the community is informed about what those opportunities are for data use. And I think, just one more slide. So these are just a list of some of the upcoming data sets that we expect to do. You can see that some of these are ongoing. So for example, one of the Italian is this spectra that are being donated, and that program is almost done, but that's being given to science collaborations for light curve classification purposes. Some of these will be things like the Ultrasat all sky UV maps. When that gets taken, that'll become available, for example. But this is just a list, and but we'll be promoting these and giving more details on how it can be accessed and what the data sets entail sometime probably over the next year. I think it's now a good time for questions.
Do we have any questions for either Phil or for Steve? Nothing?
Well, you can always find me online on the Slack page. We have a channel for the In-kind program. Knut is there also. He helps with data sets. And so that's a good segue. Knut is next to talk about the IDACs.
Sorry, Steve, we have one question.
Excellent.
I guess it's gonna be mine question. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, excellent news that I didn't know about this coordination effort on telescope time for follow-ups and for the data sets. So my question is, how do you think is NORLab going to provide, what in terms of bandwidth for this data that will be gathered at NORLab facilities? So for example, there will be some contributed data sets of a size of hundreds of thousands of millions of objects. Will it be possible to download this data set as a whole? Is the bandwidth will allow it, or will it be like limited and bring code to the data approach?
For the data sets that are being available, it's going to really depend on the specific survey. So I know that, like, for the example, the New Zealand data set, this MOA archive, there are some limits on the amount of sort of queries and data that can be downloaded per person per day. So there are limits, and each one of these is going to be kind of set up depending on that. NORLab won't be hosting them all, and probably won't be hosting the majority of them, and so it'll be up to the independent IDAC and see, if they're hosted at IDAC or at an institution, just what those capabilities are. So I don't have an easy question, an easy answer for that for you right now.
Okay, thank you.
If not, then I think it's Knut.
Hi, yeah, I'm Knut Olsen. So I'm going to be reviewing the computing resources. So the independent data access centers and scientific processing centers are the acronyms that are used here. But they're contributed computing resources available to Rubin data rights holders. The ecosystem here is shown on this map and includes the data access centers in the US and Chile. There are, this map is actually, maybe it has one mistake in it. The UK is hosting a full copy of the data, its own data facility, and is labeled a full independent data access center. The rest are mainly light independent data access centers, so not hosting full copies of the data. There is one scientific processing center in Croatia that is not hosting data, but has a relationship with another IDAC to access that data. It's mainly hosting computing resources. And then, of course, yeah, the France, UK, and US data facilities. The idea here is that we'd like to augment the access to computing resources to the community. There is, of course, the challenge of geographical distribution of these resources, but this is also an opportunity to host a variety of services and ranges of expertise for use by the Rubin community. Each of these independent data access centers and processing centers can have their own unique capabilities, data sets, and expertise that they offer. But in order to really make efficient use of this, we've put a fair amount of effort into understanding the use cases and how to use these resources effectively. What IDACs deliver are basically resources, compute, and storage, including GPUs in some cases, that really augment what's available to the US and Rubin community by factors of several. They're intended to be easily accessed by any data rights holder, so any person with data rights should be able to access any IDAC. We are looking for ways to specialize for some of these IDACs so they can be focused on particular science opportunities and collaborations. As you heard from Steve on data sets, they can also be places where there is support for other non-LSST data sets. And for serving publicly shareable LSST data. And so the question that we're still working on to some degree are making progress is what the tailored services that each IDAC can provide to maximize the science. And just a few things of note for IDACs and SPCs, right? So they're expected to be in operation at the start of DR1, although preparation is already underway. We have an IDAC coordination group that has a community forum and a Slack channel for discussing issues around that preparation and use of the IDACs. What we're currently focusing on are the use cases, establishing contact between the IDAC centers and the user communities, planning for the software and service layers needed, the data transfer network, which is a significant challenge, and planning for the effective use of the resources. So some of the things that we've done now in addressing those questions, we've had science and technical workshops. This was in March of last year, where we assembled a list of use cases that are linked here We had lots of technical discussions that are continuing, and we have a session on Friday, computational resources for LSST at 10:30 in Trinity. So I encourage you all to come to that session if you want to know more. Are there questions?
Just to bring the comments that was on Zoom about VST as a datasets in the in-kind program. So Steve, do you want to comment on this?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
It was just if you wanted to talk about the comments that was posted on Zoom about the VST as a dataset.
Yes. So yes, one of the participants asked whether the VST surveys are data sets to in-kind programs. And I just mentioned that the in-kind team is working with the Italian program at trying to sort of negotiate, discuss those possible opportunities of using both VST surveys and VST open access time to the Rubin community. But as those are not finalized yet, we really don't have anything to share about specifics.
Yeah, I have an IDAC question, and so if I'm an LSST data rights holder and I want to do my analysis, and I have now the opportunity to go to different centers, how would I find out where optimally I would do my science? Like, will there be? I mean, you said that there might be something that specific collaborations are connected to a specific IDAC, but how would I know if where to go, what I can find where, and not to go somewhere, start up my analysis and then find out, oops, after I'm half through, like it's not everything is there. Could it be that then I can request from the main centers, please, can you move more stuff to this IDAC because something is missing, things like that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So we are continuing to collect sort of the ambitions of the various IDAC centers in what use cases they want to support, what data sets will be there. We have a spreadsheet that will soon make public where you can see what data will be at which IDAC, at what's the scale of computing resources that they have to offer, and will be a place where we can then put in links to access, how you would access that particular IDAC. So it will require a bit of exploration. I think something I would also like to have is a little bit like Phil has set up for the capacity of these rooms here, just a basic dashboard to see, in a maybe not exactly live, but at least in an updated way, to see what resources are being used at which IDAC, what data sets are available there, because each IDAC is providing significant user storage. So if you do need to copy in some portion of the data, you could do that. The copying in very large sections of the data. So for instance, if you needed visit images that weren't at a particular IDAC and you needed those over a large part of the sky, that would be very difficult. So we do have to anticipate. Answer to that question depends on the scale. Yeah.
If I can have one quick follow-up question about the scale. So suppose I have something very big I want to do. Would I request first before I start, or like the IDAC has to say like we can support this or not? I mean,
yeah, I think this is a very good. We can talk offline, and in the session on Friday, this is something that would be really good to discuss. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
So dealing with LSST data will be also a massive software challenge. So a part of the in-kind program is to produce software contribution. We have 90 of those. So the goal is to develop documents, support infrastructure within the LSST infrastructure softwares within the LSST community with really high standards software development practices. So this diagram shows the recipients of those software distributions. So you see a lot of goes towards Rubin and to the different science collaboration. So there are different types of software contributions. Some are directable, so they are driven by the needs of the recipient group. And there are also non-directable software contribution that we deliver package for Rubin's need. And there is a third type, which will be useful for you, because this is a pool of software developers. So it's called the general pool, and you can propose to use their efforts for your needs. So if you are part of the Rubin Observatory or a science collaboration, and you have defined a specific case for a software, like a software project, then you can go to this link and fill out the form to propose your need. And we will then assign a general pool software developer to work with you. And the idea is that they would work with you for like a few months or a year and to produce this specific software you ask for. So the application is always open and we regularly review proposal. So don't feel free to use that resource. Any quick questions about software? Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, so just a few slides about in-kind contributions to commissioning. So we have 9 contributions coming in from 6 program teams. They're now all being implemented. Here are the groups doing this: France, Italy, Japan, Korea, Spain, and the UK, as well as a number of US and Chilean teams. And all of this being received and managed by the project's commissioning team. So they're doing quite a wide range of activities. Some experienced staff in Chile as we speak, others remote doing data verification type things. Many have started already. There'll be others down in Chile and offline over the next year as we go through on-sky commissioning. So Keith Bechtel is the main recipient contact for all these international in-kind contributions to commissioning. But each contribution has been assigned its own commissioning liaison within the SITCOM team. It's quite a big group of people helping out with commissioning, and so they're well organized in a hierarchy underneath Keith. So SITCOM is organizing technical direction of all these contributions in concert with the supervision of US research teams' contributed label, which is also called in-kind. So all the teams will need to work with their contacts to adapt to changes in schedule, although I think the schedule is changing a lot less now than it was, and we can all see something fairly stable going through the next year or so. All right, any questions about commissioning before we...
We do have some time at the end, so if anyone does have any questions about anybody speaking, we could do it now. All right. Okay. Question there? Yeah, go for it.
So this was a question on data sets, I think more specifically. This might just be this being my job to worry about this sort of thing, but a lot of the data sets said LSST matched versions of some other, the Aprajita, for example, I remember at the top of the page. And then at the bottom of the page, it said in very small writing, includes cross-matching. That's me. That's my job. Is there any sort of coordination on that aspect of this problem of, we have all of these data sets and they're going to be providing this matching, and then there are those of us who are independently working on matching, is there any LSST level coordination group being thought of for this, or is this something somebody needs to spearhead? I'm hoping it's not the latter.
Hi, Steve Markham here. We have several cross-matching groups that are also in-kind contributions that are developing software for cross-matching, and there is some coordination happening among some of these groups, but it's not a observatory-wide coordination effort. And I think it will heavily depend on specifics. I am not aware exactly what's going on with the eRosota work. They haven't really started working towards this program yet. So that's something that we'll want to keep in mind. So I appreciate your concerns, and that gives us more food for thought as we're doing this, that we're keeping these people, they're always aware. Does that somewhat answer your question without providing any answers?
It sounds, essentially the summary is it's a bit, some people are coordinating, some aren't. It's a bit piecemeal, but I guess that means that those of us who aren't perhaps in those loops need to work harder to, you just need a mailing list to zero thought it, right? But there isn't there isn't an observatory level directive or whatever the word would be yet, if ever.
I think that is true. So,
okay.
If you're concerned and you would like to be maybe introduced to some of these other groups, you can send an email to the In-Kind Program email, and we can do our best to maybe make those conversations start.
Yep. Okay, great.
Yeah, and maybe just to add what Steve said, we do have we have stood up coordination groups for PhotoZ, for IDACs, and also for crowded fields, which could have communication through community and sort of an agenda to try to make sure that all the groups working on these are pulling in one direction. And I think it could make a lot of sense to have a coordination group like that for, but I think it requires someone to take charge of it, and we have not identified that. But if it sounds like you might be volunteering.
And for more questions at the end too, hopefully. Next, we're going to have some discussion from Yun-Kyeong Sheen about the KASI In-Kind Program and the community effort in Korea. So I guess Yun-Kyeong is
Hi, I'm Yun-Kyeong Shin, working at Korea Astronomy and Space Science Institute. Today, I prepared a very brief introduction to the KASI In-Kind Program and the community activities happening in Korea. So currently, the KASI is conducting 3 in-kind contributions for operational support and scientific enhancement of LSST. So the KASI is the only institution which makes the in-kind contribution for the LSST data in Korea. So our in-kind contributions consist of the operational support and telescope time and IDAC. So I will briefly introduce each items. The first one is the operational support and KASI fellowship. So we are providing some contributions to the some observing specialists to support LSST commissioning in Chile. So currently, Mu-Young-Chun is working at Chile to help the LSST commissioning on site. And we also started the KASI Fellowship, which is to promote more collaboration with the KAIPEC, between KASI and KAIPEC. So recently we have selected the first KASI Fellow, Dr. Min Hyun, and she's going to start to work at KAIPEC soon. The second item is the providing telescope time. Actually, it was already mentioned in the previous talks part. So we are going to provide the K-internet observing time to help to be a part of the active LSST follow observation. So we are trying to make our system to conform to the ION standards. So to introduce the K-internet, K-internet is the acronym of the Korean Micro-Ranging Telescope Network. It consists of 3 1.6 meter optical telescopes in the southern hemisphere. So you can see the where in which observatories it is located. So as far as I know, the K-internet is the only observing facility which can do the 24 hours monitoring of the southern night sky. So this was constructed and operated by KAZI. So we are going to work to implement this system to be a part of as a part of the ION of the NOAA lab. The last contribution is the IDAC. So we are going to host the light IDAC in Korea. So IDAC system resources are 20 million CPU hours and 6.5 petabyte years. So it is the numbers according in regards of the total period of the program, 13 years. So we have done high-speed data transfer test using the Science DMG network in 2017. So originally our proposal says that we want to put our light IDAC in KAZI, the KAZI Science Cloud, as shown here. And beyond that, we have been discussed for a long time about how to provide some public data to the community because we have a limited number of PIs in Korea. So, but there are so many researchers who wants to use even the LSS data, which has released about 2 years before. So we have been discussed about the public data services. Currently, this is not included in our in-kind contributions, but we are having discussion with the IBS or the public cloud service companies to host some public data servers for the LSST data. And to promote, I think we are a bit behind on the LSST science in Korea, but to promote more LSST sciences in Korea, we established the Korean Rubin Science Collaboration, and which is initiated by Nare Hwang in this room. And so the picture shows the Rubin KRSC workshop last year. So we had about 100 of people from Korea. So we have a kind of a homepage or site like there as to, so through this collaboration, we manage the data rights holders, data rights which were obtained through the KAZI in-kind program. So in the beginning of this year, actually, we selected the new PIs and junior associates based on the corporate proposal of the LSST sciences. So they have a kind of limited term since we have a limited number of PIs. But this pie chart shows what is the Korean PIs interest distribution. So you can see about the 1/3 are more interested to study galaxies and agents using LSS data, and also dark energy and cosmology part is also quite big compared to other fields in astronomy. So recent the Rubin Data Academy 2024, which was held about last month, that was very helpful to the new Korean data right holders. Thanks for having that opportunity to us. So this is summary of my talk. So Korea has access to Rubin LSST data via in-kind program of CASI, and Korean Rubin Science Collaboration is launched for communication with the community and management of LSST data rights. So while we are having the workshops and some special sessions in the CAS meeting, there are some common inquiries from the community on LSS data. So they mostly wonder about what kind of data sets they will get for the PIs. If they are interested in some time domain sciences, they wonder whether they can get the accumulated light curves in real time. And the other another questions are usually they also, I already mentioned that there are so many researchers who has interest in the public data. So they wonder what kind of data sets will be available for the public. And also people wonder whether how it will look like the interface of the IDAC, the Korean IDAC. So I think this workshop is the best place to confirm all these questions with the experts here. So I'm very glad to be here, and thank you for listening. Thank you.
If there's no many questions, thank you very much. Great, thank you. And see if we can figure out how to get to the next one. Thinking about the Argentinian.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mariano Dominguez. I'm talking on behalf of the Argentina LST Participation Group. I work at the IATE Institute, which is this building in Cordoba, Argentina. Our institute was created by Jose Luis Sarsic, which is well known by the light profile. And right now is directed by Nelson Padilla, who takes the helm of our institute. So next one. Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay. Our participation group is led by the IATE Institute in Cordoba, in the center of our country, but actually there are most of the institutions that do astronomy in Argentina participate. We have a little clustering around Buenos Aires, but also have people from San Juan, and actually our best sites for observation are in the west, near the Andes Mountains. This is the IATE is part of the Cordoba Astronomical Observatory, which was created by this lad, which was a teacher that becomes president of Argentina in the 19th century. When created the observatory, he was before the ambassador in the United States, and he invited this professor who is Benjamin Gould, probably is well known for all of you, because he is the first American person that have a PhD on astronomy. He was a student of Gauss on God. And also he started most of the science in our country on this institution. And the interesting point for us is that he made a map of all the stars on the southern sky. He made the Uranometria Argentina, which is a continuation of the Argelander work on the northern sky, and basically made the first map up to 7 magnitude. The sky was good on Cordoba on these days, and made the first map of the sky, the astrometry and the photometry of the stars on the southern hemisphere. I liked to see that right now with Rubin, we are pushing and continue the work of Benjamin Gold with Verma's Rubin Observatory. And actually, our group on the participation is around 60 researchers and students, which are participating on the 8 LST scientific collaboration. Half of them are working on extragalactic astronomy and cosmology, because our institution is mostly dedicated to that. We have annual meetings to share progress and activities. And also in one of these meetings was the seed for the first LST at LATAM put. And actually past June, we made the first meeting of LST at Latin America. We are very happy because they will continue yearly on the future. Actually, our participation is currently funded through individual grants, telescope time, and IATE personal. Particularly, Marco Rocchietti and Carolina Villalon, led by Dante Paz, are participating on the general pool software development team, led by Agnes and Aprajita, and they made the traduction of all RSP notebooks to the Spanish, which is very useful for our students and also for outreach purposes. And right now they are turning to make the scripts for the sitcom team on Chile. Also, Dante is a well-known expert on voice. I'm pushing him to start a voice group on desk, because it's a nice science to do there. In particular, the observatories which are participating are the Taurus Observatory, which is a small dedicated telescope to follow up gravitational waves. Initially, the idea was put on the northwest of the country in a high altitude site, which is very nice, but right now it's going to the center of the country to San Juan. Also, there is another small telescope from the Yafe Institute and the University of Buenos Aires, which is also located in San Juan, which will be participating on follow-up observations. And maybe it's interesting, we have also this antenna. It's a deep space antenna by ESA, located on Mendoza province, which is available for use for astronomy. This is interesting for radar ranging of near-Earth objects. We are proposed a little IDAC for LST, which is probably located on the CCAT. This is a supercomputing center of my university, University of Córdoba. We have a number of small clusters. We have a room ready for maybe, hopefully, a top 500 level cluster. We are trying to acquire this equipment, but right now, this contribution, also the telescope time, are suffering the economical troubles in Argentina, which are well known. Also, we are participating in developing software in order to make the tools to work with the huge data tsunami of LST, particular for computing correlation functions with the Linksy team, which is great. Also, there's a lot of work on follow-up, particularly on microlensing. There are people participating, led by Martin Macker, participating on the Omega network. This work was sparked by the TBS Kickstarter grant. And actually, there are a lot of observation made on this, which is a 2-meter telescope, also located in San Juan, which is the biggest of our country. We also have a small amount of time on Gemini for probably we could use for follow-ups. Finally, we are made our share of outreach and educational around Rubin. This is a newspaper. And thank you, Rampal, for sending the people from La Nación to us. Also, we are made several activities with around Rubin and try to participate on the future. We have, I would like to invite you, if you go to Chile, to come to Cordoba. We have the well-known Friend of Friends conference annually in April. Fall is lovely in Argentina. It's a good opportunity to visit that. This is a yearly meeting. Also, we have a meeting about galaxies and larger scale structure next December, also in Cordoba. Finally, I would like to thank to all the Rubin team on the in-kind Metoscouts. Actually, all of us, and particularly to our students, to participate on this magnificent collaboration. Thank you so much.
Are there any questions?
Hi, Mariano. Yeah, thanks for a nice talk. I think last summer when we were at this meeting, you were telling me that you were aware of some Uruguayan students that were interested in getting involved with LSST, and you were wondering about giving them JA slots. Can you just say something about what happened with that, some plans to support that?
Actually, we don't talk about this, but they are taking my course on this semester. I will tell him about the possibility. The problem right now probably is we were happy to include the people from Uruguay too, our in-kind contribution. The trouble is that we have with our telescope right now is what is slowing down to push more people to be included on our in-kind contribution.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, my name is Naoki from Kaguya IPMU, and latter half will be explained by Hisanori from National Astronomical Observatory of Japan. And our main contribution is telescope time of Subaru telescope, which is 8-meter telescope located at Mauna Kea, Hawaii, and operated by NAOJ. And we will contribute 50 nights over 10 years. So on average, 5 nights per year. And Subaru telescope has various instruments, including hypersonic cam, as you know, and also now on commissioning our prime focus spectrograph, and it will start science operation from early next year. We expect it. And there are some kind of high dispersion spectrograph for IR image or spectrograph as well. And already explained this time will be operated by NORAD, and the system will be same as our currently operating Subaru Gemini time exchange program. And difference from Subaru Gemini time exchange is that we can offer all nights in dark time using HSC or PFS. And since in the current time exchange, we have agreed to exchange time, we should be allocate both dark and bright time. But for this in-kind contributed time we can allocate all night in the dark time. And next contribution is dataset contributions, and all these observations will be done with PFS, and first one is a spectroscopic follow-up of the transient in deep drilling field, and we are planning to submit open proposal every semester, and took about 2,000 live supernova spectra and 20,000 hot gas redshift over 10 years. And next one is PFS filler survey for photology training set. And since PFS has 2,400 fibers, so some will not be used with the main program, so we can use those used fibers. So we expect we will take around 20,000 to 100,000 galaxy redshift over 10 years. And also PFS is planning to do a large survey, which is called Subaru Strategic Program SSP, and in that for the Galaxy Evolution Survey, we will get limited sample of 10 to 5 galaxies. So these will be these data sets will be contributed to Rubin, and all these data sets will be ingested into Japanese IDAC and linked with LSST object. And the third one is on-site commissioning work, and for this, Yosuke Utsumi on Zoom and myself will do some work. And Yosuke has been working on LST camera here, and now moved to NOJ, but he will continue his work at Chile next few years as well. And I have been working on the management of HSC SSP, so I can do some more for commissioning. And I'll switch to Furusawa-san. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Hisanori Furusawa from NLJ. I'm going to talk, briefly introduce you about the software and also archival system activities happening in Japanese collaboration. I'm kind of supervising these activities. So first item is S3, RSP development and support. Actually, we are like Yasuda-san already mentioned, we've been running HSC service for 10 years actually, and based on it, we have developed various kind of archival services and then also tools for users. Based on it, this package, contribution package, is meant to provide such a software effort effectively 2 years through this full-time equivalent of engineers' time. Actually, recently we discussed with Square team, specifically Gregory and Frosty, about our contribution, and Michitaro Koike, one of our team members, actually sitting there over there, started to work with them. And it current objective is to develop the focal plane viewer that is capable of viewing, very easily viewing pan zoom, both raw data and products like CAL-EXP produced by the LSST stack. But this function is meant to be called from the RSP eventually. So, but this could be some complementary tool for the on-site quick look viewer. That is our hope. And okay, this package is actually comprises another contribution, like commissioning scientist. But initial proposal mentioned that we are going to provide some commissioning scientists as part of this package, but we still under search finding the appropriate person. That's the situation. Yeah. Okay, the second one is IDAC. Actually, we are working with, we are comprises the two different separate institutions. One is a NLJ, and the other one is a Kavli IPMU that Yasuda-san is located. And we are seeking a possibility of kind of a joint operation from the two institutes to provide possibly, hopefully, a single service by combining the data sets and also computing resources from the two institutes. But how to realize it is still under discussion. So the hardware-wise, we plan to provide about 1,500 CPU cores and 3.5 petabyte storage for the entire server years. And also, yeah, like I said, we've been running the HSCPFS, science platform already and science services. So based on it, we share this kind of experience and expertise to set up the initial set of the services. That's the plan. And also, like Yasuda-san introduced, we plan to ingest the HST and the upcoming PFS data into our IDAC. And also we provide some kind of the science platform interface on it. And also, yes, the additional data set from S10 through 12, which kind of the photo-Z calibration with the PFS observation will also be ingested. And if the situation permits, we also would like to ingest the difference imaging analysis related catalogs, and also part of the quad images. Okay. Okay. Actually, we got some kinds of science collaboration contributions within a package of the Japanese contribution, and I'm not actually not good position to explain that. So. But we got very briefly, we got 3 kinds of the science project from the desk and also strong lens sciences. So if you are interested in some of them, probably it'll be better for you to put some question to the Slack, and then I can deliver that question to those leads. Okay, maybe that's it. Yeah, that's it for the Japanese collaboration. Thank you very much.
At this point, next section, back to the in-kind team. And yes, you can.
Okay, now we're going to talk more about resources for the recipients of in-kind contributions. So first, we want to acknowledge that it's a lot of work to be a recipient of all these amazing contributions, especially some of the science collaboration don't have the time and space to receive those contributions and manage them. So we're going to focus on ways that we're trying to help you in doing this. So first of all, Aprajita has spent a ton of time to develop the tools to manage and track those contributions more easily. So this is showing an example of the recipient viewer, where you can select the contribution ID of the contribution you want to look at. You should have access to the passcode, and then you can see the summary and like kind of like the history of that contribution. So all the information is in one place for each contribution. And I'll let Aprajita add to it if you have any question. So of course, in the IPC team, in the in-kind program coordination team, we are always available if you have any problems, so feel free to contact us. We have also just put in place this software consultancy, and I will post on Slack the link to that webpage. So Greg Poole in Australia, he's an expert in software development and communicating with the astronomy community. And he can help us figure out your software needs, or kind of like turn like a need that you have into exactly like a software, like a plan to develop a software, basically. And he can also help solve problems with softwares and or how to manage a software contribution. So this is a new thing that we put in place, and you can reach out to us to book a time to meet with Greg. There is also some new things that we are trying to support recipients. So there is travel support available for US recipients to go visit your in-kind contributors. We also want to develop more communication and, for instance, having more than one point of contact in the recipient team to be able to kind of have better Rubin IPC and recipient communication. And I'll let Phil talk about those next two slides.
Right. So we thought it would be good to spend a few minutes on this. This is still fairly new. This is something we started within the last year, and just wanted to make sure that everybody was well aware of this call. So we have many in-kind contributions, as you've seen, many different kinds, lots of resources coming in, but there are still some specific resource needs that either Rubin has as an observatory or the science collaborations have. So we've been hearing about these as we go, and became clear that we needed to allow for some small expansion of the in-kind program to meet those specific needs. So if you're out there in a recipient team or a prospective recipient group, this is something to be aware of, for the resource needs program. So we've now put out a rolling call for prospective recipients to tell us what your needs are. If you need a particular data set or a particular or effort, software development effort in a particular area, for example, you can fill in an easy web form. Here's a screenshot of it on the right-hand side. And the short link is here. It's ls.st/ikc-rn. Fill out this short form, and that tells us in the IPC team that you have a need that needs to be met. So we're collecting those. We'll do a little bit of checking with you to make sure we understand it, and then we'll post them on the Rubin website for prospective contribution teams to offer to help with. And so teams in the existing international programs, also teams in the US or in Chile, are welcome to bid to make new in-kind contributions to meet your needs. we're not anticipating a large number of these additional contributions, but we already know of some and some quite important ones as well. For example, from the commissioning team, which, as you can imagine, is pretty stretched at the moment. So this is good. We've had some needs posted. You can find them on the Rubin website. And so just advertise this form. Tell us what you need. Fill out this form, and we can help go find either existing programs or new contribution teams to provide those extra resources. We'll pause here just in case there's questions about the resource needs. Good. Please do tell your friends. It might be that some parts of the science collaborations haven't heard about this yet. So. Okay, on a different topic, here's an update for you on how we're doing with the data rights agreement. So the deal here is that international in-kind programs make their in-kind contributions. They're valued in terms of the number of data rights holder slots that they are worth. And then each program will hold a data rights agreement with either Aura or SLAC or the Department of Energy to establish the number of data rights holder slots they have in return for the in-kind contributions they make. So we've been working on this for several years now. It's not easy to get 43 international agreements drawn up and signed, as you can imagine. But the good news is we do now have our first 2 agreements signed. One from Aura came first and one from SLAC. They're now being pushed out to the program leads on a regular basis. I think the speed at the moment is roughly 1 a week, something like that. And so we'll be working on these through the rest of the summer. The program leads will get these agreements, process them with their people at their home institutions, and then hopefully we can get them signed quite quickly. Of course, in the meantime, everybody who is on the data rights holder list already has provisional data rights, allows the PIs and the junior associates to apply successfully for an account on the Rubin Science platform, for example, to get started with the data previews. Okay, what about people who are moving around the world? And in particular, this is an issue for early career scientists, as you know. So JAs who move to a different country or perhaps get promoted to a permanent position, they should all know, and everyone should know, that those JAs are eligible for a 2-year grace period, basically to help them make contact with a new program and establish data rights for themselves in that new place. And so the advice here is that anyone considering an international move should check the data rights holder list on the Rubin website for program status, find your new local in-kind program, and then you can reach out to the program managers to check that there'll be a space for you, or figure out how to go about doing that. If you're considering moves outside the current data rights region, so that is outside countries that already have an in-kind program, you should send a note to me and Bob about how to go about doing it. All right, so the IPCs can also help with this, and in particular, they can help with checks for you as a science collaboration, your membership policy, what your members should be doing. They'll give you a version of this same advice. Right. So, any questions on the data rights holder list or data rights agreements in the pipeline? Yes, there's one at the back behind you, Ralph.
Thanks. So what about junior scientists from the US who have been working in many cases, especially for commissioning? We had junior folks who have been contributing to commissioning in kind effectively over the past 2 to 3 years. Now that doesn't, I think, fall under the requirement of being paid by LSST for 2 years to get the builder status. But those folks are now sometimes looking for positions outside of the US. Are they covered under the 2-year grace period, or what's their situation?
They are, yes. So in fact, we've had a few cases of this recently. The advice is the same. When for US early career folks moving overseas, get in touch with the program manager of the in-kind program that you're moving towards to figure out a JA or a PI slot there. They also have the 2-year grace period, so they have plenty of time to figure it out. The other thing is that anybody who has done 2 full years of work, either helping build Rubin or building the LSST science community, is eligible for builder status, either Rubin builder status or LSST science community builder status. So some people who have done lots of work for Rubin already, help build the science collaborations already, may be eligible for that.
So just to clarify, I understood that 2-year requirement was being able to show a paycheck from Rubin for 2 years of FTE. Has that relaxed a little bit?
So there are 2 types of builders now in the Rubin data policy. There's the Rubin builders who have been building the observatory itself, but there are also LSST science community builders. It's the same 2-year requirement, but they've done different things. The former kind of builder has helped build the observatory. The latter has helped build the LSST science community. So it's people who have done 2 FTE years of service work in their collaboration, for example, or sitting on the SAC, that kind of thing. So those people are now eligible for a different kind of builder status, and with it comes lifetime data.
Okay, and I'm guessing that would cover people who kind of straddle the 2, who have done 2 years of in-kind work helping build Rubin, because we have those. So it might be news to others in the room as well about this new class of builder, but you should check it out in the data policy. You can, if you've helped either or both work on building the observatory or the science collaborations, you may be eligible for lifetime data rights. You should check it out. Okay.
Anything that anyone's talked about here? So if we've got a time for some discussion, if anyone has anything. Good, 8 minutes left. So all the questions you were keeping. On the Zoom. Not, we can get out a bit early.
Yes, we have a question on Zoom from Julia. Julia, do you want to unmute and ask your question, or do you want me to say it?
Okay, hello everyone. My question is about the best time for the program managers to update the data right holders list. If there is any change in recommendations since last time, if there is some appropriate periodicity to do that.
Yeah, I can take that one. So we try to get the form for updating the data rights holder lists out to the program managers in the northern summer. And the idea is to get the up-to-date list of PIs and JAs in place before the start of the academic year. We figure that everybody knows who the students and postdocs and staff are going to be for the following year. So program managers should be getting very soon the update form for the coming academic year, so 2024 to 2025. And there are some programs that haven't had theirs yet, just because we're still working on the details of the agreement. But I think most program managers can expect to get that update form there during August.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Anything else that anyone has? I see a question over there.
So it's actually more of an advertisement. So for the IDACs, as opposed to just for the general in-kind stuff, but specifically for the IDACs, I'm trying to organize an unconference on Wednesday. Last year, we didn't quite get an unconference, so we had an unconference, which was actually quite useful. So that's IDACs talking to IDACs as opposed to IDACs talking to LSST is the focus of it to move forward as a cohort. But I'll be putting a sticky up anyway.
Thank you.
On Zoom, Yosuke is asking if they can update the DRH in the spring because the school year starts in the spring in Japan.
Yes, the in-kind program is always complicated. So can we do it in the spring? Yes, I think if any program managers have different needs for when they need their form, they should just get in touch with Heather Shaughnessy, who manages the system for updating the data rights holder list, and see what she can do. Initially, we wanted to do all the updates at the same time of year, and I think it is true that for many countries, the northern summer makes sense. But we're definitely interested in hearing from program managers that have different needs, and I'm pretty sure we can meet them. So get in touch with Heather, please.
And actually, can I ask about the buildership that you described? So when people contributed to a science collaboration, I guess to get that type of buildership. So for instance, in Desk, I know they have been builders for like years. So is that what you're talking about with the science collaboration?
It is, yeah. So I think most, if not all, of the science collaborations are going this way. They have a defined builder status, and they track the progress of their own members towards that. So as you say, I think there are more than 50 builders, desk builders within Desk, for example. And the type of work that they're doing to earn builder status in their collaboration is exactly the kind of work that is also rewardable by this LSST Science Community Builder status. The only difference is in the amount of time. So in the Desk and in the Strong Lensing Science Collaboration, I think there's others as well, there's a 1-year equivalent requirement. For the LSST Science Community Builder status that comes with lifetime data rights, it's 2 years. And I think we ought to, well, we'll be putting this in place over the next year, but what we'll do is connect with the Science Collaboration's own mechanisms for their builder status. And when people go from 1 FTE year to the 2-year threshold, that's when they would be awarded the Science Community Builder status.
Okay, so it's different things, and it would go through, even though it's contribution to the Science Collaboration, it would go through Rubin, and like it's kind of like a different.
We would have a role in it, and that's because it's at Rubin that we're managing the data rights holder list. So what we'll start to see is people who are in that data rights holder list, not with PI or JA next to their name, but SC builder or something like that, just so that we're tracking the people who have earned the right not to have to ask for a PI slot.
At the hour. So I guess we can go unless there's anything else online. No. All right then. Thanks everyone very much for coming. Thanks all the speakers again.